one of your biggest issues that you have within Excel is just people going in and they just want to see their own projects, but they're seeing a bunch of everyone else's projects in there, and you kind of want a way to just get that all into one spot, into where I only see my projects. Microsoft makes it pretty easy to import all of that information that's in your Excel file into a SharePoint list, and that's going to be easier to manage those projects within a SharePoint list rather than in Excel. You get some advantages by storing them in SharePoint, such as version history. So I can see when someone made an edit, who made it, and then what they changed. So I can see all of that information. And if someone accidentally removes a line in your Excel file, you may not know that, but within a SharePoint list, you can always go to the recycle bin within SharePoint and restore that item. All right, so let's jump in. So I've created a sample file, and we can import that into a SharePoint list. And so here's my sample data that I have here. And then I made this a table. So that's important to note, is it must be a table to import it into a SharePoint list. So mine's already a table, and I'll go over a couple ways that you can do this. The first way is more manual, but there are some advantages to it. So I can go into my SharePoint site that I have, and I can manually create this list. So I can create the list, give it a name, and then add all of these fields in with the correct type for each one of these fields. So for example, this project manager field, I probably want that a people picker field. So I can select a person from the CNW organization, and I can get some apply some filters to that person field to where they only see their projects. You can manually do that and copy in all of this data after you create all of your fields. So I could, after creating all of these fields, I can take my data and I can copy it and then open up my SharePoint site, switch over to Quick Edit, and paste that data in. That's a little bit more manual, but you can do that. I want to show you today how we can automatically import that data into a SharePoint list. So like I said, I've already made this a table, and then I'm going to come up into the design of my table tools. And then I'm going to click on this export. And I'm going to say export table to a SharePoint list. It's going to ask me for my SharePoint site address. So I'm going to come over to my SharePoint site, and I'm going to get the site URL. If you're not on the homepage, if I'm in, for example, if I'm in site contents or somewhere else in my site, I only want to get up to my site name. So I don't need anything after Adam Sandbox here. So I'm going to jump back to Excel. I'm going to give it that address. And then I'm going to give my list a name. So I'm going to just give this projects. And then say next. And then here are the fields that it's going to import into my SharePoint list. So you can see it's just going to read my column names here, and then it's going to try to distinguish the data type. Now I can't change this. It's just going to automatically set to whatever it thinks it is. For example, this project start date, it found out that it was a date. So when it goes into SharePoint, it's going to give it a date. You'll notice this project manager field is just a text field, and I really want that to be a people picker field so I can apply some filtering to it. We will, once we import that into SharePoint, I'll show you how to fix that and get that into a people picker field. It's a little bit manual, but it works. All right, so I'm going to click finish here. And now it's importing my data into the SharePoint list. And depending on the number of records you have, that'll be how long it takes to import. There weren't very many here, so it's already done. One thing to note before I jump into the SharePoint list here is you can only import this once. If I made a mistake and I missed some data that was in my Excel sheet and I want to import some more data, I won't be able to do that into the same list that I just imported into again. So if you want to do that, you can either go into your SharePoint site, delete the list that you had already created, make sure all your data is in here, and then re-import it, or you can just copy in manually the data that you have in your Excel sheet into your new list. So I'll click OK here, and I'm going to jump over to my SharePoint site. So I'm on my SharePoint site. I'm just going to refresh my site contents. and click on my projects list here. So here you can see, here's all my data that I just imported. And you can see this project manager field, it's just a text field. So I can apply some filters here myself if I want to filter on a person, but that doesn't filter for everyone right now. It's only for me. So I want to make this into a people picker field. So now whenever someone comes to this list, by default, they only see their projects. I'm going to add a new column. I'm going to select person here, and I'm going to give it project manager. I'm going to create this without a space because since I already have a project manager field here with a space, it won't let me create another one. And we can edit that later. So I'll save this. And now I have my project manager field here, which is a people picker field. I'm going to drag this over next to my existing project manager field because I'm going to copy my data over. I'm going to save this view. And then to quickly copy this, I'm going to click on the quick edit. And I'm just going to select all of these fields here, the text fields for my people picker, and I'm going to copy those over into my people picker field. So we'll let those copy. And there is going to be a minor issue here with my name. Since I have an admin account, can't find an exact match for me because it's finding multiple people for me. So I'll just type in my name and select my account and hit enter, and then I'm just going to take that and drag it down so I can copy it into all of my other fields here. So now those are good, and then down here, Talus's name is the same issue as mine. And I'll just select it, hit enter there to set it, and then copy down. And you can see it's syncing. There's the other ones that are starting. These ones will still have an issue, so I'm going to copy again. And there you go. Now the things are done and my list has been updated. So I'm going to exit the quick edit. And now since I don't need this field anymore, I can go ahead and delete it because this is my text field. So I'll click on the edit there and delete. And it's going to ask me, are you sure? And so now my field has been deleted. Now if I want to space back in Project Manager, I can come into the column settings and edit and then give it a space. And save, and then now it's back. So now I can see all of the projects that were in my Excel sheet in here. But now I want to filter this view so I only see my projects. For anyone else that comes in here, they only see their projects. So edit my view. What I'm going to show you here is I'm going to edit the only view that's in here, which is all items, and I'm going to rename this to be my projects. By default, they're only going to see their projects. If they have enough access, they can create their own view. And maybe the overall owner of this list, maybe they want to create their own view because they want to be able to see all projects. Other options you could do is creating another view to see all of them. So I'm going to edit this current view. I'm going to rename this, and I'm going to say my projects. And I'm going to come down to this filter, which if you have watched the SharePoint list video, we show you how to do that in there as well. So I'm just going to apply this filter here on project manager is equal to me. And so now I only see my projects here.